Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Empower You podcast. I am your host, Michael Abney. I'm here to shine a little light on the pathway to living life a little bit more consciously. What I mean by that is peeling off the hood and looking what's underneath going on in our lives. Just, you think that's kind of funny, don't you? Yeah, we got to look under the hood. The problems that we have in life sometimes is that for most folks, we stay pissed off because we don't understand what's really happening. And we don't really have a vehicle to talk about it. And that's what this podcast is all about. And how we do it is we talk to amazing people, having amazing experiences, sharing that with us and looking at it from that point of view. So kick back. If you're ready to power up, so am I. And I'd like to welcome our guest today. Michou Olivera is coming to us from Massachusetts. I love just have people all over the world. I just love it. My next guy is from Australia. But we're all like, there's this thread that's happening with everyone that I've been talking to of this just awareness of, like some healing's got to happen to us as human beings and how are we going to get there and like looking at life. So thank you so much for being here, part of this conversation. Absolutely. And I want you to share a little bit about you, your story, how you found what we're talking about today is psychedelics, psychedelic mushrooms and the relationship to healing. And take it away.
Awesome.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, first of all, for having me. It's an honor to be here. Honestly, just to be able to be asked to share your story is a big deal. And so it's something that I definitely do not take lightly. So thank you for having me and for asking to have me share my story. I am someone with a long history with psychedelics, but it was broken up in the middle of my life. And basically, I lost connection to that source. But I started using psychedelics when I was 15, back in 1985, in a town called Half Moon Bay, California. Is where I grew up, and I would go see the Grateful Dead back in the 80s when they were still around with Jerry Garcia. And my friends and I would take any number of different things randomly all together, or however it manifested. But we were always taking psychedelics and cannabis. Every substance was a thing. I used pretty much what I could get my hands on because I had a lot of stress and anxiety in my life. Being born female and very masculine set me up with a lot of challenges when I was younger, and there was nothing in place for someone like myself at all, except for a lot of violence and a lot of ridicule and judgment and awfulness. So substances, all the sex, all the escape that I could finally find and put my hands on was something that I really relished. And I spent my life running from who I was, the things that I knew innately. I have gifts in psychic awareness and clear knowing. And so those things were also too much for me at that time. It felt like a lot of responsibility that I just didn't want to have. And so for me, it was really fun to just really check out and go to other realities and other consciousnesses because I wasn't enjoying the one I was in. It was very violent. I had a lot of trauma. And so fast forward a little bit to the later part of my life, I reintroduced myself back to mushrooms in 2018 with the happenstance of a chance meeting with somebody who was growing them. And what happened was January, I was offered to do 3.54 grams of them for fun, no intention. With no thought whatsoever other than maybe it's going to be like it was when I was a kid back in the 80s. So I went ahead and did that, and it was really profound in that it took me out of my usually drunken lack of heart space and into actually a space of feeling connected to gratitude again and joy and my inner child, which was something that I had not had any contact with for, 30 years. And because alcohol doesn't connect you to that portion of yourself, right, or anything worthy. So I was reintroduced to a part of myself that was new and it was curious to me. So I really wanted to, I spent the next few weeks reflecting upon that, and it was interesting. And I remembered feeling just more empowered in myself in a way that I had not felt with any substance that I've been taking those last 30 years. So what I decided to do was at that point, a couple of weeks after this journey, I thought to myself, well, I should start doing this once a month just because this day it was such a good day. I wanted to exploring that space, right? Because I was brought to someplace new. So I would go now, it was my new thing. For once a month, I'm going to do 3.5 to 4 grams of golden teachers. And I started doing this, and 7 months in, it took essentially a 38-year alcohol addiction that I drank every single day with. And it just took that desire away to where I woke up one morning and didn't want to drink that day like I had been.
So that was like a 7-month period? Like, so you were just doing it once a month, and then over that 7 months,
It
once a
just,
month,
I
the
woke up one
desire
morning and
for,
just didn't want it. Yeah, it just was gone. It felt like the part of myself that I would drink for, which was to fill this hole. It felt like there was something missing inside of me, like emptiness. And the drinking was easy to take that away, right? But this morning I woke up and already I didn't feel the emptiness, right? That I would normally wake up with and already be thinking, oh, I'm gonna do my job from X until X time, and then after that, I'm gonna go off and get whatever I'm gonna drink that day. So drinking that day was taken by, instead of the thought of maybe what to have for lunch and taking a nap afterwards, right? Or where I could go eat my lunch someplace beautiful and someplace that was more soothing and calming and nurturing, right? And healthy than just let's
mm-hmm.
go get some alcohol and start drinking at 3 o'clock, right? So I kind of
Yeah.
went with that, and it became challenging to figure out who I was without drinking every day, because I drank every day since I was about 14 years old. So um, rediscovering who I was became the work, and mushrooms were very instrumental in helping me to understand more of who I was, because I kept doing mushrooms once a month with now the thought that, geez, if I don't do these now, I'm terrified because I'm going to start drinking again. So what I did was, at that time, this was back in the late part of 2018, I was actually also homeless at the time. And this was part of the impetus for my, I think, more avant-garde stance on myself, because I didn't have anything to lose at that point. I was living out of my, actually at that time, 2018, I was living with my mother, but I was homeless technically. I had injured both my shoulders the year before, and I didn't know what to do with myself. And I was kind of like, well, I don't have nothing to lose. I don't know what's going to work, because nothing that I've been doing is working. So I needed to try something different, and I felt like mushrooms um, were a fun way to connect to some parts of myself that felt good in a stressful time. But it didn't give me the understanding until the next year of what I was actually doing and what was coming together for me by doing these larger doses. And so in 2019, I started having visions of future stuff that would eventually come to be true. And then I had a spiritual awakening, which four white light entities appeared in between the wall that I was watching projected animated fractals on, and myself laying in bed, and essentially instilled upon me the reminder that I know the way of mushrooms and how they open consciousness, and I'm to work with people with this medicine, not only with myself to have a good time and to open myself, but to really present when people show up to ask questions and to do this work, to show up in all possible fashions of these of a facilitator here, as a guide, as an integration person, as a cultivation person to teach you how to grow them, as a mentor to teach you how to do this work yourself if you're called to do this, right? So at that moment of these entities in the room with me, right, I am ultimately aware not just of who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing here, but now I'm typing the collective consciousness, right? Universal truth. All these things are now put into me to know and to feel a moral obligation to step up and to show up to do this, and to not just be showing up for myself, but to really take this the next step further, which is to start helping people who are also very much in desperate times, desperate struggles, right? So I saw collective suffering. I saw millions of people coming to do this work back in 2019, before people even knew what this was about, before I even really knew what it was about. It's taken me 3 years to even be able to articulate what the hell even happened to me. So I've been researching and now working with people. I created a business in the pandemic. All these things I've had to, as I've gone along, have been introduced to me as the truth, as the understanding of what happened, why it happened, what's happening next. And as I go along my life and continue to put my pieces together, more people come to do this work, and I keep learning and seeing patterns of what I saw was true years ago, what I was understanding about what this work is really ultimately about, which is consciousness expansion. It's true. And now people around the world are doing what I saw they would do a few years ago, which really blows me away and freaks me out, but was also true. So I'm here to help people ultimately. And my
Well, let's
story
do that. Let's
is,
do that.
yeah,
This is
let's
an
help. Yeah,
amazing story, and
it's pretty
let's
wild.
put the most powerful thing
Pretty
that we can
wild.
do is put some context around it.
Yes,
You know, like,
absolutely.
because that is
Indeed.
like somebody's going to
Absolutely.
be listening to this, and
Mm-hmm.
a million different stories could come up in their head, and that's how they were
Of
experiencing.
course.
So what we're just going to share is that context is that you had
Yep.
this amazing journey that led you down the path, that
Yeah.
you were okay with it from a young age, and some level it kind of led you and helped you almost
Yeah.
like an entity itself, right? Everything's
Well,
alive.
well, I was shown that this is where I should basically step into myself and quit running, essentially. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so, like, no matter what that thing is for anybody else, you could just
it's a
relate it
metaphor for
to this
anybody.
was like it.
Stop
Yeah,
running. Yeah,
yeah,
stop running.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you're saying some amazing things that I think is really I want to like kind of flush out here,
sure.
because like the context is like when you have to reach outside of yourself for something like an
Hmm.
alcohol to make you feel a certain way on the inside to fill in some sort of deficit, right? So whatever that is for people, and if you're unaware or keep it in that form, that's when the damage happens. That's when the
Exactly.
destruction happens because it's not
Yeah, yeah,
authentic to. But once you start spinning that in the other
exactly.
direction, and you're like,
Then
how is
magic
this?
happens.
Yes,
Yeah, then the
yes,
magic is happening. Yeah,
which is
yeah,
what you
yeah,
experience. So like what I
yeah.
know for my own work, because we're all working with wounded people. It's just like there's so much of it,
Yeah,
and so can't dance around it. It happened, but like I don't want to carry it with me no more. I want to work with people that don't want to carry it with me because I believe it's
right.
possible to actually heal
Yeah,
and know ourselves as
it
whole and
is.
complete. And
Yeah,
then it's like, okay, when we're
yeah,
here, know ourselves, that's when an entire universe opens up. Like,
yeah,
how do we, when we get out of ourselves and out of our own way, what kind of world do we want to create? Not the one that
exactly.
we're living in by default, right? So it's
Right,
like
right.
you're doing this amazing thing to help. For me, my perception is that this is a really, it's quick grand scheme of things,
Right, yeah. Yeah,
relatively.
relatively
Yeah.
speaking. Yeah,
So share
relatively
with me more
speaking.
about like an experience of
Hmm.
somebody like coming to you to work with you and how like from your perspective of now having this awareness. First of all, let's put I want to talk about the guides or what well you called them entities, but like my guides said that they were your guides that came through that, to show themselves to you. So what's your relationship with them now? Are you still aware of them? Do you still
I
communicate with
mean,
them?
what my relationship to everything now is everything's different because I am aware of all the things at all the time. So I'm I'm more connected to understanding the bigger picture now. 3 years later, I didn't know what was going on before. I didn't even know what a spiritual awakening even was. So all of this was brand new to me, and I had no idea what was happening. So it's taken me a long time to really understand that at all times upon waking, you're connected to everything, whether you like it or not.
Whether you like
You're
it or not. Yeah.
connected. But when you
Yeah.
realize that you are, and you're able to be aware to the degree that I now find myself to be, things are coming to you. Your life is very different. Your life is very, for lack of a better word, it's blessed. It's beautiful. It's full of abundance. It's full of what you want and have been waiting for this whole entire time. But now you're not in the way of it. You're not in the way of that flow, right? And so that's what ultimately that's what I am being shown from not just the entities that visited me, but from coming from higher consciousness, right?
Oh,
So,
perfect. Yeah, it's 100%. So this
yeah.
sets us up perfectly. So
Hmm.
what is your experience? Because I want to know what the experience is of coming to do whatever it is that you do. Share with us what that experience is in, and then I want to talk about the results that you have
Okay.
in your life now
Yeah.
by
Yeah. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
being interrupted. Follow me? Okay.
Interrupted. Geez, my whole life is interrupted now. My life is exploding with people coming to do this work now. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the experience because I think that's really
Sure.
important to. I would. I've always thought I would do ayahuasca. I've had friends that have done multiple different things. I've never done the trippy
Yeah.
thing, but like it's because I feel like I'm tripping all the time anyway. So
And you
it's
don't
like
need
for a
it.
long
Not
time,
everyone needs this. Is
my
not
life as a
everyone's
trip
path,
is enough.
right?
But like you share with me like
Yeah.
what it's like or your experience of the people that you work with from your
Mhm.
perspective as you're going through it.
Okay.
Go. Love it.
So basically, the people that come to do this work are all ranges from doctors, psychologists, neuroscientists, people who have been suffering from depression their whole lives, younger people who are looking to expand their consciousness. They understand what's happening here and they want to get in. So the range of people that are coming to do this in all manner of referrals. I don't advertise because I'm first of all mindful of the fact that this is still a subject, topic, and substance that is not 100% legal. So I have people are coming to me by referral. I also have a facilitator listing on Third Wave. So people are finding me through there, and they come with questions, and they come with a lot of information that is false from the internet and
Mm-hmm.
from other sources that have painted a picture of, for example, mushrooms being some magic bullet of breakthrough and transformation, which for some people, sure, they will do that, but not for everybody and not in the way that people are going to think. So a lot of what I'm doing is basically educating and being very transparent into what this is about. And it's a lot of face-to-face or verbal conversation. I prefer to have conversations rather than messaging back and forth or emailing back and forth. Meeting in person is ideal. I'm sitting with people in high dose journeys. I'm helping people learn how to microdose. I am teaching people how to cultivate, and I'm working with people to mentor them to be also facilitators.
Okay.
I'm working with people in a varying, it's checking in to find out, where does somebody want to start? Where do you feel that you start this process? Where do you want to start? If it's with high doses, then we start with that process of unpacking what that looks like, right? If it's I need to learn how to microdose, then let's start to talk about what that looks like. If it's I need to grow my own and figure this all out on my own, then we can have that conversation as well, because that's what I did in a lot of ways. So it depends on where somebody wants to start, and it involves a lot of just open conversation and transparency.
So what they come to you experiencing depression,
Everywhere.
some sort of like
They come
discomfort.
from anywhere, from suffering or from curiosity. A lot of people that I work with, some of them don't have anything wrong with them at all. They have nothing that they're suffering from, but they understand people are coming to do this work from intuition, right? That's the one thing that everyone is connected to, having the same thing, is they are intuitively knowing that mushrooms specifically have answers for them.
Oh,
That's what I'm
okay.
seeing. That no one's talking about that yet, because they're not sitting with all
Wow.
these different people back to back. I do this for now over almost
That
4 years,
you
and
see
all
some
of the people
things.
I'm seeing so much, and I'm like this. I don't want to go on TikTok, so I'm just going to sit over here in East Hampton and keep doing this and keep watching these patterns of people. It's intuition. We know certain people are going to be drawn to mushrooms specifically because they know innately from past lives, from whenever, that this is a medicine that's helped them, that they can go to for answers and for transformation. And it's going to pull them to a place of evolution if they follow, right, what's being shown to them. Men, women,
Wow.
ages doesn't matter. My oldest is 82 client. My youngest client is probably, I want to say 20 something, 23, 24. So they all know, whether that's from depression or addiction or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a thing that's driving you to that. It's intuition. You know it's going to help you. It's going to connect you home, right? It's going to bring you home. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what
So
the thing is. But yeah,
so you work with people like via the internet or in person. I'm trying to think of how you would do
all
that.
over
All
range, right? It's
different
I've
ways.
all over the country. I'm working with people. I talk to people from all over the world. They message me with questions about how this is about. What is my take on this thing that they heard? People I've been working with, helping them learn how to microdose. Now I'm traveling across the country back to California for something. So now I'm sitting with people across the country on macrodose journeys, or I'm meeting with them face to face to learn about what they want to get into. That's maybe more, they want to do more facilitator work. So I'm meeting with people, I'm working with people coast to coast. We're talking with people every day, between at least one or three, four, or five people a day. New people, podcasts. My life is exploding right now with all of this. So it's become my life. These last 3 years, this is my entire life now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
it's
sense the
serious now.
flow.
it's,
So
it's serious,
once
yeah.
you once it kind of like opens up and starts coming through you, you start to trust it. So what is the results that you have in your life now? Like what are you experiencing for yourself when you've
Oh, wow,
basically
okay.
surrendered
Yeah.
your life to your calling?
So what happened to me was that I've wanted in my life fell in my lap within about 2 years. Everything. The woman of my
Were you
dreams that
aware
I've
of what you
waited.
wanted before? Were you aware
Yeah,
of
because
it? Or it was
I
like,
wanted
oh,
the
now I
American
really want.
dream. I wanted the American dream. I wanted to be in a big house. I wanted to have a big, beautiful yard. I wanted to have a nice car. I wanted to have a beautiful wife, right, who loves me. I wanted the American dream, right? This was Michou 1.0 asking these things, wanting these things, right? So now this is what I wanted before I knew what I wanted, but this is still what I want, right? This is still what everybody wants. A beautiful house, beautiful neighborhood, to live in a beautiful place, to have a sustainable life that feels important to them, to have a partner that loves them. So all the things that I was looking for, that I was hunting down with the wrong version of myself, are now, I'm surrounded by all of them. And what I'm learning is that these are the things that are meant to grow me even further, not just the mushrooms, but stepping into my higher self now looks like I get what I want if I can show up to do these things and be this person, right? So everything that I've wanted is surrounding me now. I live a dream life and I have a purpose that in the morning I fly out of bed to dive into because it's amazing. I'm watching people transform their lives with something that I saw 5 years ago on a mushroom journeys, and it's real. It's not. I thought it was fake. It's real. So why not help people? Why not show up and keep doing this? Because it's working. It's happening. So
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
I relate.
I have what I
mean,
want.
I'm just
happy.
relating to your experience. You know, it's like
It's
I
fucking
was.
crazy. It's unbelievable.
It is. It's totally nuts. That
Crazy.
like
Yeah.
I think so many, like what I've been experiencing is so many people in that switch, you know, like like I knew I always had this, but it was like something my friends knew. They would call me. I did work with people, but it was just people that came to me. I never actively said, I'm going to do this for my livelihood. Right.
Yeah.
But that had been my dream, seriously, to just wake up and like be on the phone with great folks, helping them get under the hood of their life and like kicking it, like helping them clear. So whatever they came here to do, they can do, and we can all benefit from it. Like, so it went from like one-offs to how can I be of highest, best use right now? Okay, well, you clear thought leaders, you clear visionaries that have just badass ideas for the world, right? So those are my avatars. And all the pieces, like I didn't know how to market that. Like all the pieces came for that. Like like
See,
all of it. So I know exactly.
You're speaking the same. You already know.
Yeah.
And you already know too that like when you can't chase this and make it happen. A lot of it is just release, let go, and surrender to not having the answers. Exactly. To not having any idea what the hell's going to happen when you do let go and when you do step back. And now that stepping back, though, doesn't look like I'm going to give up and just go do something different. It means I want to do me in a way that feels good and nourishes me. So that the other thing that's simmering in the background is now it's growing, it's blooming, it's blossoming because you're doing this, though, for yourself. Loving, accepting, appreciating, right?
It is. Up. And when you do that, when you're in the digs of the flip, there are moments that are so powerfully uncomfortable. It makes you want to pull your hair out, and that's part of the deal. Like you can't. It's not all lollipops and rainbows as you walk across I'm going to go over here and sit in this train track and do this life.
No, absolutely not.
Because you said something so important. I'm so glad I just remembered this. You said something that about your identity. You know, the 1.0 and the 2.0, and like that's another huge.
Oh my God!
But that's really that the context is that we are shifting our human beings from the identity of trying to survive fucking life to thriving in it. That is a major, and that's really what's happening on the planet. So it's like really all of our wiring, like we're hardwired to survive shit. That's what the only problem with that is the thing that generates everything in our world keeps creating shit to survive. So like at some point, we're all going to have to go through this. Our identity crises are to flip to that other thing. And I think it's a missing piece for people like us to, like, we need to really be clear about, like, there is that thing. But there are people like me that hold your hand through that thing, and people like you that help you get to that next place. So that's what I'm saying. It's there, but not to discount.
It's like it's beginning though. It's like the beginning touch of the surface of. It's the but like, very initial.
It stings. I'm sorry, it does, but it's nothing to fear. It's just like the fears are where you run. Like the scaredy parts are where you run to. Like those are the doorways to everything that anybody wants. Is those types of spaces where we're just desired to like be comfortable, and it's like, no. So yes. I love these conversations so much.
Me too.
It just creates like a new paradigm that doesn't exist. Like, I
Nope,
mean,
not
for me,
yet.
this
It's
happened to me
important.
in like 2018, where it's like something shifted in me and I saw the survival part, and like you can't unding that
Yeah,
bell. So it's like seeing I have to constantly remember
yeah.
that people are still operating from that, like old
Most,
program. Yeah.
most, like
Windows,
90%
Windows,
still.
whatever that was, Windows XP or whatever the whole thing was.
95. I'm
Windows
sorry.
95. Yeah, we got to upgrade.
Oh my god.
It
That's a
doesn't
good one.
require a program anymore, except for like
Oh my
Control
gosh.
Alt Delete all the things you thought you knew. Like that's is required. But yeah,
It is absolutely mandatory, yes.
yeah,
It is.
yes.
Yeah.
So like, besides this expansion, is there something that is like, sorry about that. Is there something about like your universe that you're just like really excited? Something that you could, because life doesn't stop happening, even though wherever anyone's at, even if it's like everything's working, there's still life, it's still expanding. So,
Sure.
like, what's
Oh
the
yeah.
next thing? What do you see? What's your next thing that you see out there?
I see. I mean, really, there's so much to speak to that. I mean, I don't even know. There's so many different layers of that. What I see for myself, I can answer this in a couple of different pieces, and that way they'll all come together, and you'll have a better understanding of how my mind works. Basically, is that what I see for myself is more of what I'm doing. How what I'm constantly doing lately is laughing at how I asked for all of this, and this is the stuff that I find myself struggling with. My lack of time is now becoming a thing, and I'm having to really get to where I can actually manage my time in better ways because so many people are coming to talk to me and work with me. I'm laughing at the fact that it stresses me out when I've been asking for this for like 3 years, just to be validated by other people that see me as somebody who knows what actually she's doing, right? That this is a real thing. And so the part of me, the Michou 1.0 part of me, still looks for that validation to say, oh yeah, you're doing this. This is the right thing. Or, oh yeah, you can do this. You're okay. You're approved to do this or whatever it is, right? The Michou 2.0 version of me is definitely not coming from a place of seeking validation. And that's the place that really drives most of my day is just to keep showing up for this work in better and better ways. What can I offer beyond what I'm already offering here? What can I really give beyond this access to mushrooms? Because what I want to do is to connect people to a bigger picture of keeping your body well while you do this work or while you become your 2.0 self, right? Like, what does that look like from a holistic standpoint? Because when you're expanding your consciousness, your mind is getting pummeled and it's a lot. You're getting tired. Your mind is smoking. It's exhausted. You get headaches. And so taking things like reishi mushrooms, lion's mane, making a concoction of various things to take while you're micro or whatever dosing you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at trying to develop those things. I'm excited to have more medicine. I'm adding a second grow tent so I can produce and provide more, more for people who are seeking viable, sustainable medicine that's trusted, that's actually coming from a source of intention and integrity and love, right? And that my head's in
Yeah.
the right place for this medicine. I'm here to essentially, in a lot of cases, give it to people who sit with me in journeys. The medicine's always free, right? You're paying for my experience and for my wisdom and my time with others in this setting. The medicine is a gift, right? Wherever we are in the country or wherever we are. But I'm seeing the bigger picture of how much I can show up in ways that are still sustainable for me, but are giving more to the process. And the process being not just feeling better and having less anxiety or less depression, because that's the scratch of the surface of what this is actually doing. It's like complimenting the
Mm-hmm.
paint job on a Bugatti, right? You're complimenting the paint
Yeah.
job on a supercar that can do things that most cars will never dream of. But mushrooms are here to evolve us in ways that I think a lot of people in the larger world don't have any clue about because they're not doing the bigger dose work. They're not doing the deeper work with macrodosing that shows you what's going to happen when you start to peel back the layers of your mind, right? So um, I'm looking at how I can show up in a better way to speak. So my long view is learning how to speak to this with agency and respect and humility, right? Because I feel
Mm-hmm.
what I've been what I've stumbled upon is a lot. It's kind of a big deal, and I'm not hearing these conversations in other groups. And so it makes me do this even more, which is where I need to not. I need to be like, no, it's actually this. So I'm doing work every day, even just talking about this. It's like my
Yeah.
self-worth, my all these things that are coming into play. And that's the whole point, is stepping into Michou 2.0 is like, holy fuck. There's a lot to accept and own, and also to just trust. And that's the first thing that I feel like all of this is really about, is when you see something that the rest of this culture doesn't know or talk about, you have to trust your heart, right? Because that's what's telling you that you're okay, keep going, this is real. You're going to help people with this. Get out of your own way and just fucking trust. Trust the medicine,
Yeah.
right? And as soon as I sit with people and I watch what happens, because what's really happening, what I'm working with, is people in journey space. I have the ability to share their consciousness with a little bit of cannabis. I have now reached a place in my mind where if you're on mushrooms and we're together, I'm experiencing your space, right? So
Yeah, I
now I'm
know. I
able
know
to help
exactly what you're
you.
talking about.
Right. So now you're experiencing things that are really hard for you. You don't know what's happening. Let me help you. Let me open your perspective to really see and get what's happening, so that you can now unpack and get rid of it, heal it, accept it,
Hmm.
release it, whatever needs to happen in that space. It's all happening with understanding and awareness, right? So,
Yeah. Do you
yeah,
ever have any issues with residuals of like when you're doing that? You make sure that you're just like observing that. Do you ever sense that any of that stuff sticks with you that you're
no,
experiencing with it? No. Okay. I just want to make sure.
nope, 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 nope,
Yeah.
nope. I'm
Yeah.
coming home to my life and feeling really good in my own, I don't know, like in my own environment. I feel like when I'm away from my purpose work with people, that I'm in my space and I am enjoying my surroundings 100%. And I'm still working through things that I had before starting to do this work. And I feel like when I go to sleep at night, I sleep peacefully. I sleep untortured, unmolested in the mind, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah, I feel very, very
I
fortunate
love it.
actually. Yeah,
I
yeah,
totally get it's just amazing how I relate to what you're saying, but it's a completely different, you know,
different world
same sort of thing.
in a
Like,
way.
people don't
Same
understand the
but different.
world's energy, but like
Right.
I've seen it my whole life. But it's,
Yeah.
just so many similarities. But I totally understand what you're talking about, and allowing when the abundance comes in to allow new systems around us to
Yeah.
manage that level of whatever it is that
Accept
we're
it.
creating. Yeah, accept
Yeah.
it, and like what you're doing is like, how can I make this work? I mean, you're still making sure that you're taking care of yourself too, that
Have to.
you are still, because if you don't, you
Well,
get
that's
in
the
your own little
tricky
trap.
thing, is that
It is the
that's the
tricky thing.
problem now, because I want to help people in such a way that when people show
Yeah,
up and they start sending messages, instead of just waiting till the end of the day and answering 10, 15 messages, I'm going to do this throughout the day as I go about my day. So now having to structure
don't do that.
my time
Yeah,
in a way, yeah, I need to structure my time in a way that says, okay, these hours are mine, these hours are these hours. I'm having to
yeah,
create from nothing, and I'm learning how that looks.
yeah,
So it's weird to become a business person when I'm not
yeah.
necessarily a business person. I'm a person who helps people with mushrooms. So I am.
There's a guy named there's a guy on YouTube called Dan Coe,
Yeah.
Koe. Start listening to him because like he
Okay.
will systems on how to
Let me write this down.
block
I'm
in
gonna
your
write.
life. I've been following him.
Yeah.
He's
Dan Coe.
genius.
You
Dan
said
Coe, Koe. He is
Dan Coe.
like he's very pragmatic about how he looks at it, but it's just made such a
Yep.
powerful impact on my life. Me listening, just listen to him and taking on that point of view about, for him, he's like, there's, the economy's changing to this, like, there's 7 billion people on the planet. He's like, one day, whoever he follows, it's like, there'll be 7 billion businesses. So, like,
Yeah.
we're all each businesses, because I got stuff
Yeah.
that would help. It's like, it's all
Yeah.
sauce
Yeah.
together. And that's the
Yeah.
beautiful part about how
That's
we
the
can
juice.
relate
Yeah.
and heal and grow. Like, imagine a
Yeah.
world like that where we're all just straight
I
up
know.
thriving on
Yeah.
healing ourselves. And
Yeah.
then
It's happening.
when that
We're making
healing's,
it right now.
yeah, we
It's
totally
happening.
are.
We're
And
making
then
it right
the
now.
space that's available after that is to create the context for us all to walk forward as a human race of people.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I know people on this planet that get, we can't fucking kill each other anymore. Like, let's knock it off. And like,
Exactly.
all it is
Yeah.
that's just got to be allowed to be like
Yeah.
out, not
Yeah.
inside of us, but like out.
No, it's
When it's
out.
out
Yeah.
there, everybody's just gonna have to deal with it, and we'll
Exactly.
adjust accordingly. But like,
We'll adjust
what
accordingly.
you're doing is you're allowing people's gifts to come out, and like that's the most
Yeah.
powerful thing that we can be doing right now. So I appreciate
Yeah.
you,
More people
appreciate you
shouldn't have that.
sharing like part of your
Absolutely.
story
Yeah.
today. Yeah, this has
Thank you
been
for having me.
so much fun. Yeah, it opened
Yeah.
my mind up today. Like, life,
Thank
we
you.
just have a whole bunch of
God,
stuff going on, and then you just get present
Yeah.
to like, we're all sort of journeying in this space of how to
Yep.
figure out how to use our gifts and live in the world, make it a
That's
better
right.
place. So thank you for
Indeed.
being a part of it and sharing your perspective. It was really
Indeed.
powerful. I
Thanks for
appreciate it.
having me. Very, very welcome.
And this was such an amazing experience. Thank you so much. Hope you guys
You're
got
welcome.
tons of value out of today. I appreciate you listening. If you have any questions, I will put Michou's information in the description box wherever this travels, so you can like reach out to her and find out more about what she's
Please
doing
do. Yeah. Please
and
do.
all of that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
You guys
much.
have a blessed day, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.